makes most women start a business? Is it passion, money, or freedom? Welcome to Female Founders, the podcast that takes you behind the scene with women who are founders and CEOs to help you start and scale a successful business of your own. I am your host, Nagelia de Ravine.
Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of Female Founders. Today's conversation will be with Lynn Durham, the corporate mystic and founder of Create Magic at Work. As an executive coach and certified spiritual intelligence coach, Amy blends spirituality and business to help clients with their personal, professional, and spiritual development. Join me as we learn from this incredible female founder. Good morning, Amy, and welcome, and thank you for joining me today. So now, can you tell us a bit about your background and how you become a corporate mystic, which is very interesting.
Yeah, thank you. So I actually am a former corporate executive. I used to work in retail. At my peak, I had over 400 employees. I've worked for private and publicly traded companies. And towards the end of my career as a corporate executive, I really was feeling burnt out and a little bit lonely, kind of like the lonely towards the top kind of feel. And I started incorporating these activities with my employees and with my teams that really were human-centered and really helped each person see the humanity in each other. And during that same time, my personal life, I was kind of going through a spiritual awakening as well. And so that sort of led me to leave the corporate executive space and re-inject myself back into the workplace from this angle as the corporate mystic from Create Magic at Work to bring heart and human connection to the workplace.
But when you decided to make that switch, did you work for a company or you just go all by yourself?
Yeah, when I left, I planned for a year to leave my job. I planned it out for a year. And when I made the switch, I left to work for myself. That was the plan. I spent a little time traveling and writing my book. And then I attended UC Berkeley and got my executive coaching certification from the Berkeley Executive Coaching Institute and built the Create Magic at Work brand.
Wow, this is awesome. So now can you tell us about Create Magic at Work? What is it about and what are the services the company offers?
Yes, thank you for asking me that. So Create Magic at Work is designed to foster human-centered workplaces and help each other see the humanity in each other. We typically work with high-level leaders in the workplace that want to take their leadership skills beyond emotional intelligence. And really, they want to go into accessing spiritual intelligence and becoming a quantum leader, which means you can make wise and compassionate decisions at a higher percentage of time. You understand that the decisions that you make in the business that you run has a ripple effect out to communities, to the planet, to humanity as a whole. And Create Magic at Work offers products, services, workshops, and all of those things to bring that together.
So now, what do you go to? Do you work with like small businesses, big corporations? What kind of business do you partner with to make magic happen at work?
Yeah, well, every person is a leader and every person can help make magic at work. Yes. However, yes, I partner with large corporations, small businesses that want to learn what spiritual intelligence is and go beyond EQ. So there's workshops that we do using the Create Magic at Work products. And then also one-on-one clients. They can go through an experience and a journey for 3 months, 6 months, a year, whatever feels good to them. And they can learn these elevated leadership skill sets that help them feel more inner peace as well as outer peace, even when they're under great stress.
But how does it feel when you decided that I'm just going to create my well-paid job and then I'm gonna go create magic at work without knowing the outcome. What's gonna happen? Is it really gonna work? People are gonna love the idea. How did it feel? Were you scared about making that decision, or?
Yeah. I have mixed feelings all the time about it. I'm going to be real with everybody that's an entrepreneur that might, listen or read the interview. One day it's like, what the heck did I do? Or what am I doing? And then another day it's like, oh my gosh, yes. Like, thank you for the sign. I'm on the right track. When I was planning to leave my job, I was making a list in my office. And I took a lunch break and I went to, I was in this little home store and there was a magnet hanging on a hook. And it just like called out to me and it said, leap and the net will appear. And I was like, oh my gosh, I had just seen that sign after I was making this list on how I was going to transition out of my job. So I grabbed the magnet and I have it on my refrigerator to this day, leap and the net will appear. There's a lot of faith in yourself that you need to sustain, because in the beginning, people won't understand at times what you're doing, especially with Create Magic at Work. It's like, wait, what? What are you doing? You're leaving your job to go do what? And I really didn't have the idea fully formed. I just knew that I had this life purpose feeling that I was going to come back and bring heart and human connection to the workplace and show people that they can be productive and profitable by being kind and human centered. And then it just grows from there. So it's not afraid. It's like failing forward is how I would put it. Yeah.
Failing forward. Failing forward. I never heard that before, but that's interesting. Failing forward. Yes. Yeah. So now do you provide your services within the United States or is it anywhere in the world itself?
Yeah, globally for sure. Create Magic at Work is a global brand. So yes, I provide all the services. The company provides all the services internationally. And it actually has a really huge international interest. I think people are really intrigued by going beyond EQ, tapping into their inner wisdom, putting their ego aside. The podcast Create Magic at Work, it ranks super high in Europe. So that's really exciting. So yeah.
So are you making magic happen everywhere at the workplace?
Trying. Yeah.
Can you share some example of how your approach has helped your client to create magic at work?
Yeah. So the biggest overarching theme that clients will work on is, how do I put my fear, my ego, my defensiveness aside? And how do I operate from that place within me that comes from wisdom and compassion and love? How can I just differentiate between the two? And then once I differentiate between the two, how can I practice operating from my inner wisdom a higher percentage of time? And then how can I practice as a leader seeking guidance from that inner wisdom to make decisions a higher percentage of time? It's like your inner sage, your inner essence, that beautiful person that you are, that you're accessing, versus that sabotage ego that rises up when you feel scared, or when you're in the workplace. There's a lot of ego that goes around. So that's the big overarching theme. The results are win-win, because you start treating other people as human beings in the workplace. So people will want to work for you more. And then you also have more productivity and profitability. There's some data from Harvard Business Review that just came out that if you're a wise and compassionate leader, you have to be both. Just by being a wise and compassionate leader, you can decrease burnout within your organization by 64%. And we know burnout is a hot topic right now, right? But it starts with all of us. It starts with making sure our side of the road is cleaned up a little bit, and then leading from that way. Yeah.
So pretty much you will be able to keep all your best employees instead of losing them every single day.
Absolutely. Yeah. I believe that this is the future, wise and compassionate leadership, learning how to be that way. And I believe that leaders and companies that don't operate in that way will automatically sort of die out, because people will choose to work for the wise and compassionate leader, the leader that's creating magic at work.
Yes, exactly. That way they feel welcome.
Exactly. Yeah.
So in your book and podcast, you talk a lot about the importance of human-centered leadership. Can you explain what that means and why it's so crucial in the workplace today?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So we spend the majority of our time, a lot of us do, at work with others. And often from past systems that have sort of been handed down to us, we have been taught to leave who you are at the door when you come to work. You're here to work. You're here to do your job. You're not here to show emotion. You're not here to make friends with anybody. I'm just being extreme with this, right? And that's it. So what's happened is people have had to compartmentalize who they are when they show up, and they can't be their full authentic selves. As a leader, I'll use an example from my book, from the Create Magic at Work book. If you crack open these individuals where they look in each other's eyes and see like, oh my gosh, John is going through the same thing I went through a few years ago. Wow, I didn't even know that. I didn't even know he was experiencing that. I'm going to help him on this project. And just help each other. The power of connecting with each other cannot be matched with looking at an Excel spreadsheet. So in my meetings, and all these activities are in the Create Magic at Work book, by the way, because I did all these field tested activities and then I put them in my book so leaders can just grab the book if they need something to do with their team and go to a quick activity. One of the activities that really helps each other see the humanity in each other is before or after a meeting. After a meeting is really powerful because people leave feeling this amazing way. I would have my team write down what they wanted to let go of in their life, at work. I have one of the products for Create Magic at Work is called Flying Wish Paper.
Flying Wish Paper.
Yeah. And it comes when you purchase a copy of the Create Magic at Work book. It comes with the Flying Wish Paper for free. And you write what you want to let go of in your life, and everyone shared it with each other. So you can hear the other person. It doesn't have to be work related. It can be personal if you're comfortable. And we lit them all on fire together, and they fly up in the air, and we let them go together. And the power of doing something like that together at the end of a meeting, and it doesn't take very long. That 10 minutes or 15 minutes that you do that exercise outweighs everything you just talked about for the past 2 hours, because the feeling that they have when they walk out of the room is what matters and what they'll remember.
Wow. You think outside the box for everything?
I don't know. I like to call it creativity. And that was one of the reasons I left the corporate executive world too, because I felt like my creativity was being stifled. And I know I'm not alone in that. And the sad thing about it is, if we're stifling creativity in the workplace, people can't innovate. You can't have innovation in your company if you're not allowing people to have moments of creativity, silence, all of these different things. So I really wanted to bring that back to the workplace also. I purposely made Create Magic at Work feel childlike and whimsical in the products. And I even, the designer, the book designer that did the Diary of a Wimpy Kid books, he designed the Create Magic at Work book. And I put illustrations inside too that are very magical and I use a real illustrator. I don't use clip art or anything because I want to use real artists and just I want you to feel the magic when you're doing it. So
yeah, when even you're not there, that it's like they can feel you being there with them, walking them through the steps, even you are not actually physically with them.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a nice way to do that. But I'm happy to be there. I love leading workshops in this way that are based off the book and off of higher level leadership skills. Yeah.
I love that. So now let's talk a little bit about the podcast. What is it about?
Exact same thing. Podcasts create magic at work. And every single episode in some way, shape, or form focuses on spiritual intelligence and quantum leadership. No matter what guest is on, we all tie that in to help you become a wise and compassionate leader and decrease burnout in your organization. And I have to tell you, I love the Create Magic at Work podcast because it is so fun. We have really cool topics for the workplace that people might not normally have in a workplace business leadership podcast. For example, one of the most popular episodes is I had a spiritual counselor and shaman as a guest, and she shared what if venting about work is ruining your relationships and how you can help. And that was so popular because, of course, we all complain to our partners or our friends about work or whatever. So we talk about really real topics that affect all of us in the workplace, but they're fun too. Yeah,
now
this is
I
deep.
really...
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. Yeah.
No, it's okay. I was going to say I really want to listen to that because you are right. Because when we have an issue happen at work, what do we do when we get home?
Unload it on
even
our
before,
partner.
even before we get home, we start texting about it. So.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's kind of like our partners is really taking a load of what we are dealing with at work themselves. Can that really mess up that relationship?
Yeah. Yeah, that was a great episode, really popular and really helped people think about who am I showing up as when I get home? Because even if I'm this great leader at work, who am I showing up as when I walk through the door after that? And I think that's what legacy is too. People talk about leaving a legacy. Well, it's who are you today at home? Even compared to who you are as a leader in the workplace.
I agree with that. So now, how do you help clients to overcome the challenges and obstacles they face in creating healthy and empowered workplace?
I try to make it fun with the Create Magic at Work products and activities, because when you go on this journey, if you're doing a one-on-one coaching experience, learning about your own spiritual intelligence and where you're sitting with I'm a certified spiritual intelligence coach, and there's 21 skills. It's a framework that I use with my clients. And so when you step into this journey, it's magical, it's transformational, there's goosebumps, there could be tears. It's deep inner work, but it's also very fulfilling. And you work as a leader on what skills resonate the most with you to bring passion and bring your best, align yourself with your best future self. So that's like the one-on-one work, right? So it's very deep and fulfilling. So then I have the Create Magic at Work stuff, the products and the activities. And that is what helps people kind of step into this, because it doesn't have to be all deep all the time. I guess the activities are deep as well, but they're deep and fun. You know, lighting something on fire with someone, feeling vulnerable enough at the same time to share what you just lit on fire. That's fun and deep. I have a deck of journal prompt cards that I authored during the pandemic. That's a companion to the book. And it's just adding a little fun. A leader can pull a card out of the deck for their team, and each card has a theme for their work or career. And then it also has an affirmation and then 2 coaching questions. So for example, do you want me to pull a card for you?
Go ahead.
Okay. I thought that might be fun. Oh, how cute. Okay. You got stay curious.
Stay curious. Ooh, I like being curious.
Yeah. And the little illustration on there is the same illustrator from the book. Her name's Mary Bell Martin. She knows all of the deep symbolism and the meanings behind each theme. And so she does the art. It looks very simple, but it's based off that. So your affirmation is, instead of rushing to judgment, I stay curious and ask meaningful questions. What a good affirmation for an interviewer.
It is.
Yeah. And then the recommendation is to take a leap of faith. It's basically to think of 4 questions that are curious. You can journal those later. And then take a leap of faith and ask them.
Just ask them. So now I'm going to have to send you some questions for later.
I'll take them.
So now when the leader have the card with them, do they get a chance to do the whole activity at the same like that moment itself, like get to a chance to write down the questions and ask the questions at that moment itself?
Yeah, you can use them however you want. I mean, people tag me on social. They use them just personally to just journal and tap into their inner wisdom. This is a great tool to get quiet and tap into your inner wisdom for your career and work. Or you can do it with a group of people. If you're physically in the same room, everybody close your eyes, go around, have them pull a card meant for them with their eyes closed. That really brings the chills and the goosebumps, because they'll be like, oh, I can't believe I got this message. It was totally meant for me. And then you give them a good 10 minutes to rapid write their answer and then share with everyone. And you can do that virtually as well. You can just, pick a couple if you're the leader, and then share what came up and have everybody journal and share their answers. And that's a real way to foster human connection in the workplace. Yeah.
Yeah, it is. And also that when we talk about the coaching, so do they have to, can they just do a one-on-one coaching with you without having to do any of the activities, or the activities are a part of the coaching?
No, they don't have to do any of the activities. The coaching is more, I'm a trained executive coach, and then I'm also the SQ21 certified spiritual intelligence coach. So I combine the two. And if something comes up in session and we want to use a mystical tool, we'll definitely use that if my clients are comfortable with that. But other than that, it's not necessary. Whatever feels good for the client is usually the way we go.
So also another question I wanted to ask you, as a recovering workaholic, how do you maintain a healthy work-life balance and practice what you preach?
Oh my gosh. Thank you for asking me that. It's a practice, right? It's a almost daily practice. And I block off my calendar on specific days. I block off Mondays and Fridays just to have those days to really focus on Create Magic at Work. I call them my CEO days. And then the Tuesdays, Wednesdays, Thursdays are when I'm really interacting, podcasting, working with clients, giving workshops, all of those things. But it's been so nice now that I've really gotten a hold of my calendar, and that could change, I will schedule things on Monday and Friday, but that's because I'm allowing it. I don't have it publicly visible. The other thing I noticed when I left my job, my corporate executive job, family and friends think you're available all the time because you don't have a boss. It's like, well, I'm trying to build a company from the ground up. That's even a little bit more harder than, so people having boundaries is almost a daily practice. What am I going to pay attention to? What's important for me today? What are my responsibilities today? And is this really an emergency and can it wait? If somebody is, family or friends, I need to talk to you now. So, yeah.
I know that feeling because I remember I used to hear, well, you're just at home doing nothing all day long, so you should be able to help me with that. So, I'm trying to put the company together. Well, that can wait. It's not important. Well, I have to pay bills.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's, I think you're right. Putting that is making them understand that, if it's still a 9 to 5 job, but it's just for myself. It's not for someone else.
Correct. Yeah. And frankly, as entrepreneurs, it's even more than a 9 to 5, right? Because our mental headspace is always focused. What am I going to do next? What am I going to do tomorrow? How am I going to do this? Planning. And it's more important than ever to just really conscious of working on boundaries as much as possible with your schedule, with people thinking you're accessible at all times, for, in your personal relationships and things like that.
I completely agree with you on that. And even as entrepreneurs, even when we go to sleep, we sometimes we fall asleep thinking about the business. And we wake up with that in our mind again. So it's like a non-stop type of things. It's like it's a commitment that we make to ourselves that we're going to make this happen. Well, I'm not talking for everyone, but at least for myself, like when I decided I will start Warmel, it's a commitment that I make to myself. I'm going to start this and I'm going to give it 100% of myself and make sure it succeed. So it's like midnight, you can find me in the bed with my laptop and I'm still working.
Yeah, because it's your passion. And it's so important that we turn that off sometimes. So I was just talking about companies and leaders that need access to creativity and innovation. And we need, as entrepreneurs, creativity and innovation more than ever. And so really taking care of ourselves has to be a daily reminder, really.
Yes.
And I have to give you one tip. So I am also an Edgewalker facilitator. And in Edgewalkers, it's a profile for leaders. And a lot of Edgewalkers become entrepreneurs. They can kind of know the future. They can manifest. They have passion. They can really focus. And when you said, sometimes I'm thinking about everything when I go to bed. One of the interesting things in Edgewalkers or tips is, and they said, Thomas Edison used to do this. Before you go to bed, I think it was Einstein or one of the two. And before you go to bed, ask your brain to give you the answer while you sleep and wake up with the answer. So if you're ruminating in something, or if you are thinking about the next moves for your business or something like that, it's just something fun and magical to try. Say, I'm going to let this go. I'm going to go to sleep. Brain, take over, whatever you want to call it. When I wake up in the morning, give me the answer.
I love that. I'm going to try that tonight.
Yeah, just try it. That's some quantum leader stuff right there. So, and it's fun, right? Yeah.
It's fun. Yes. I like it. So now, one thing that I find very interesting, by the way, you have been a guest on over 60 podcasts.
Yes.
So what are some of the most common questions or misconceptions that come up around the topic that in the workplace?
Well, one of the most common questions I get is around spiritual intelligence, because it's faith neutral. It's a faith neutral system for the workplace and spirituality in the workplace. And I think the biggest question that I get is, what do people even do this stuff? Or do you get pushback from people in the workplace because they think it's religion and they don't want to talk about spirituality in the workplace? That's the biggest question I get from podcast hosts that want to know if this is really resonating with people, or if people are just like, that's too woo woo. we don't want to deal with that. My answer to that question is, twofold. One is if somebody is dismissing all of the data surrounding this, that's fine. If they think it's too woo-woo for the workplace, that's okay too. They're just not ready. A big part of SQ and being on the spiritual, intelligent, quantum leader journey is allowing space for people to be where they are in their life journey and not forcing anything onto anyone. As I said, it's a faith neutral practice. But it's like you said, I've been a guest on over 60 podcasts. So people are super intrigued by this topic and they want to feel a deeper sense of meaning in their life. And they want to feel a deeper sense of meaning at work because they spend a ton of their lifetime there.
Yes. So
the people that dismiss or maybe say that's too woo-woo, not really a fit, and their system may not be around because people might not choose to work for them over people that are really understanding that this is the key to leadership, to wise and compassionate leadership. Now, if you don't want to make an impact in the world or be a wise and compassionate person, I mean, Create Magic at Work isn't really for you.
Well, that's on you.
So, yeah.
Well, I think that as a leader, as leaders, we have to be open-minded. Like, what's going on out there? What's the people that are following me are looking for, and be able to listen and learn from it so that you can be a better leader. So I think that just saying that I'm not going to do this. I think for me, that's the wrong approach to it. I think that you should be curious to know what it is about, and want to learn it. At the end, if you decide not to incorporate it with your team, that's okay. But you know it. Perhaps later on, you will realize that you really need this within your team. Maybe the fact that you haven't really listened to your team, you don't know that. So I think that leaders should actually be open-minded to it and be willing to listen, to learn, and see how your team, the questions that you can ask your team to really know that, hey, I actually can incorporate this within the company itself. So
yeah, it's so critical. It's so critical. Yeah.
I don't know why someone will say no to it. After all, why don't you want to have magic at the workplace? You need to create the magic, because when you create the magic, do you know what happened? The money flow even better.
Exactly. And that is, it requires somebody to take a look in the mirror with the one-on-one coaching and really do the work themselves. Because once they do that energy will automatically ripple out to their team. So if they don't feel like lighting something on fire or pulling a journal prompt card, that's okay. I've had many leaders that go through the spiritual intelligence experience and they incorporate and learn all the skills themselves, and they're just exhibiting those qualities. And that ripples out to their team.
I think it's, all I can say is at least give it a shot. What do you have to lose? Not much, really.
I love you. Thanks for saying that.
So now, where can our listeners go to learn more about you and your work?
Yeah. So I love LinkedIn. I'm under Amy Lynn Durham on LinkedIn. And then, of course, createmagicatwork.net. It's .net. So go to createmagicatwork.net. You'll find the link to the podcast. You'll find the link to the shop. So if you want to get your own journal prompt card deck or a book with the flying wish paper, you can go in there and play around. If you want to work with me, you can reach out to me and schedule a 30-minute chat with me and see if you want to step into the journey, the magic journey.
Let's bring magic to the workplace. So now, what advice would you give to someone who is just starting out on the journey of personal and professional development and looking to create magic at work?
Oh my gosh, such a good question. I always like to say, and I want to tell that person that your life is extremely important. And also a tiny piece of the history of the universe. And if you're stepping into personal development and leadership and all of those things, remember that. Remember that your life is extremely important and also a tiny piece of the history of the universe, and try to make your leadership decisions from that space. Let's all leave everywhere we go, every person, everything, the planet, a little bit better than when we found it.
Yes, we do. And that will also help the next generation.
Absolutely. That's legacy too, right? Yeah.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Thank you so much, Amy, for giving me the chance to talk to you, to learn about magic at work and how do we create magic at work? Because that's something that a lot of leaders don't pay attention to, especially with COVID hits, and then people end up at home working from home, and now they're saying, hey, come back to the office. And how do you create that magic at work? Now that it's everything changed, people are scared for their lives, for the children, for the families. So how do you create that magic at work? So in my point of view, that's where Amy comes in, so not me. So I thank you so much, Amy, for this opportunity.
Thank you. This has been so fun. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for listening to Female Founders Podcast. That's it for this week's episode. Be sure to follow us on your favorite podcast app or connect with us on womel.com so that you don't miss our next episode. See you next time. Bye for now.